What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. Now, I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if a Flash game is possible. Now, I've teased that I want to do more of these superhero videos. I'm going to be doing one for Hulk as well in the next couple days, and I'm definitely up for hearing any other superheroes or even supervillains that you guys want me to make, whether it be DC or Marvel. I really don't have a preference when it comes to these videos, but I did one on Green Arrow a few weeks ago. You guys seem to have liked it. Didn't do the greatest reception in terms of views, but you guys definitely supported it well enough that I want to continue to make more. And like I said, this one is going to be Flash. Now, we've talked about Flash before. I know Flash is like a big thing also in the YouTube ecosystem of a video game, of how difficult it would be to make one of those. And even I talked about that. I talked about, I put them together, Superman and Flash, of why they are very, very hard games, I think, to make for more reasons than just one. But ever since that, in like the leak community, and again, none of it's ever confirmed, or at least it hasn't been yet, but from what it sounds like is we're really seeing publishers in terms of like Marvel and DC or Warner Bros, I guess, and then whoever is in charge, I think like Marvel's gaming section, right? They seem to really be pushing, obviously, to make more games, right? But also seems like to kind of expand out and do some things that haven't been done before, right? Rumor has it there's a Daredevil game. Rumor has it there's a Wolverine game, both in the works for next gen on the Marvel side. And for DC, you never really know because Warner Bros has a lot hidden. And is Rocksteady making a Suicide Squad game? And we've talked about it, right? A Suicide Squad game has a lot more importance to it than it just being a video game that's releasing, right? We talked about it in that last video I made on Rocksteady, where it really signifies, okay, we're willing to take these things that aren't going to be surefire hits, that maybe are even more difficult to make. Because think about a Suicide Squad game. Would it have been easier for them to just make another Batman game? Would it have been easier for them to just figure out even like a flying system and a health system for Superman and use it in an Arkham world? Yeah, it may have actually been easier, but instead they want to go the cooperative route. They want to really change the game up with a Suicide Squad. So again, think about what that takes in terms of trust from Warner Bros. To Rocksteady, and think about, again, like what that could be part of the overall plan of Warner Bros. So you have these things happening. Again, if it's a Suicide Squad, even if it's a Justice League game, it could still be the same thing. The second game from Warner Bros. Montreal, what is it? Is it a Wonder Woman game? Is it another random superhero? No matter what it is, if it is kind of like an off hero, besides like Batman and Superman, I'd say, that gives everybody, I think, more leeway that, hey, you want to try something out? Maybe it's possible. Now, Flash has been around, right? We have the TV show. It's been around for 6 years at this point. It's going to, keep going on, probably end after 8 seasons. But it's had a really solid run. Now, does everybody love it? No. Has a lot of people jumped off of it? Yes. But it's been around. The movies, yeah, obviously it's been a lot more difficult, right? Ezra Miller, I think, did an okay job in Justice League. Didn't think he was bad. I thought he was one of the bright spots of that film. Was he? Is it the greatest film in the world in the first place? No. Was he the greatest character in the world in the first place? No. But I think he did a decent enough job. Obviously, that movie has had so many things going wrong with it. But I believe it's been moved up now, right? June of 2022. It was originally going to be July. Now it's June. So the movie is still happening. Ezra Miller got into some trouble a little while ago for doing some things he probably shouldn't have, that I'm not going to say out loud in this video, because I'm worried about what YouTube would do with it. But they've had some issues, but the movie is coming out in 2022. And that's another thing to think about as well, right? Again, we don't know how much they want this world to be synchronized. We know they want a DC, world in gaming. And again, people will always say, well, are they lining it up with the movies? Again, and as I've always said, I don't think so. I think that it's just kind of good luck if it happens, right? But ultimately, you can't predict when things will get delayed, when things just aren't going to work out in time. But what I will say is you have Batman, and it's coming out, let's say, within like a year of the Batman movie. Was that planned? Again, I'm not necessarily sure, but it's happening. Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad from James Gunn, right? That releases next summer. You have, if Rocksteady's making the game, why'd they choose that one, right? Again, was it because they just wanted to try a co-op game? They wanted to do something that had that, it was, you play as evil people, right? You're not just the Justice League, you're not good. They wanted a different, they wanted to make it hard for themselves, right? They wanted to really take some some risks. Like, they could use whatever excuses they want. Did it also have to do with, Birds of Prey? Did it have to do with the Suicide Squad? It could have. It could have. It could also not have, right? We know that Warner Bros. Montreal was working on a Suicide Squad game that was going to kind of be, and mainly for the reason because of the movie, Suicide Squad, and that was obviously canceled. So there has been indications in the past that they kind of coordinate, and they have game studios work on stuff, but again, they're not tied in, and they don't have to come out the exact same time. Sometimes they don't even work out in terms of gaming. So why did I say all that? Why I spend so much time on that? Well, again, Flash. I mean, you only have so many options. And again, I mean, I guess that's not true because you really have endless amounts of superheroes and villains you could choose for these games. We've talked about how difficult it would be to make a Flash game. It would. It would be all the trouble of a Superman game and then maybe even more some because of how fast Flash moves. It would be all the same issues as Superman. Now, yes, have people created the Flash game in dreams? Yeah, they have. Okay, but is it really all that amazing? Like, is it a blueprint of what you can do? Not necessarily. Like, obviously it would still take a lot of work. And by the way, like, in all these videos, I'm not going to throw out like a studio I could see making it. I have really no idea whatsoever. Could it be Warner Bros. Montreal's second game? Sure. Could Rocksteady be making 2 games at the same time? I think they probably are. I really do. So could it be one of them? Yeah, maybe. Ultimately, again, we don't know. But is it possible? I think it is. I think it always has been. It's just always going to be a very, very difficult thing. That if you're going to do this, you're taking a risk because it's a very hard game to make. And like we talked about, right? You have to figure out how his speed works. You have to figure out how his fighting works. You have to figure out how his health works. You have to figure out how to hurt him. How do you traverse a world that quickly? Now, again, have like smaller games like that one Japanese or Chinese or whatever game it was, that game that did like a Superman game in it. Like, yeah, I mean, that game worked really well. That's a pretty good blueprint of how to do a Superman game, right? But again, do they have restrictions? We know that Warner Bros. Doesn't really want games coming out unless they're in like the Arkham feel, which is a little odd considering rumor has it they want to drop Arkham and they want to move away from it, but still in Batman. But again, like, what are their rules? Does a Flash game have to kind of work as if it's Arkham? Because that would make it that's a big roadblock, right? That's very, very difficult, and that's kind of nasty to do. But ultimately, if that's the rules, if you're going to make a Flash game, you have to get the okay from Warner Bros. Either Warner Bros. Has to own you as a studio, or they have to have probably reached out to you. Maybe you pitch something to them, but then you have to enter a contract with them that, they're the publishers, they own the rights, all that kind of stuff. But like, they're going to be the heads of it. So it's ultimately up to them. Like, if we get a Flash game, it's because Warner Bros. Allowed it or wanted us to get a Flash game. I think it's possible. I think it'd be really fun. He's a cool character that doesn't get enough. I get it though. I mean, obviously he's in the TV show. I was gonna say he doesn't get enough spotlight. I still don't think he does because a TV show on the CW isn't exactly like the biggest thing in the world. It's a big thing to like these superhero shows, but it's not like it's getting like 50 million viewers or and not that it's gonna get that in gaming either. But you know what I mean. He's not the biggest character that DC has. That is the biggest thing. And that's the final part of this. Is that stopping them? Because ultimately you have to, and we've talked about this, right? If you're gonna pick one of these not star characters. And Flash is right there, but he's not like Batman, Superman, maybe Wonder Woman. But really, I would say Batman and Superman are like the two. He's not them. I mean, ultimately, you have to be one of them to be them, and he's not. But again, we talked about it. Daredevil, Wolverine, Green Arrow, if that happens. Right? And that was just something I completely made up. But you have these things, and if they do happen, then it does indicate that Warner Bros. Is saying, all right, you're allowed to do, you don't have to do Superman. You don't have to just make Batman. We can start to spread out and do these different games so we never, is Green Lantern possible? Absolutely. That would be really cool. And again, Flash would be awesome. He's got a whole portfolio of villains I think would be so cool to see. He's very comical. He's a very funny guy. That would work. I mean, think of like a Deadpool kind of game, right? The Deadpool games, one of their they didn't have a lot of positives, but one of the positives was the humor, right? And Nolan North, he's obviously a positive, but the humor of it. So a Flash game would be cool. It'd be kind of like a Guardians of the Galaxy kind of thing if they made that. And then maybe that could be a video game. There's like I say in all these, talking about them gets me so excited. It has so much potential. at the same time, I mean, it's the gaming industry where you can only have so many of them. Only so many of these games are ever going to be made. I can list off to you again, and we've said it before, 15, 20, 25, 30 games just in the superhero genres of picking different superheroes or different like arcs in the comics or different arcs we've even seen in movies that I would want to see. And they're actually impossible because you can't give us all of them because they take 3, 4, 5 years to make one. And so if you go down that line of thinking, it does honestly get, I think, a bit depressing. If you stay in the more positive feel to it, I think you got to just stand in the mode of it's possible. It's something that could definitely happen. Is it likely? I'd say no, but it is possible. And we have so many possibilities that I think we're good. Like, if they give us something, it's got to be something that somebody at some point wanted, right? Flash is definitely one of them. There's definitely a big push for people that want a Flash game. Same thing as Superman. I mean, these are two characters that I think because of maybe how difficult people know it is to make them, it kind of adds to that like allure that we really do want them at some point. Again, though, depends on where their priorities lie. Do they need to do Batman first? Do they need a Superman game? They're like, we're not going to get to Flash before we do. That's like, we need to tackle this Superman game, the game that's been impossible to make forever. We want a good one of those first. At the same time, if you do a good Flash game, you should be able to do a good Superman game. And also on the flip side, if we do get a Superman game at some point, I think the idea of I think the prospect of getting a Flash game soars through the roof because they're, again, like, I think they share a lot of the same problems. So if you figure out Superman, I think you can figure out Flash as well. So guys, let me know in the comments below, do you think a Flash game is possible? Do you think we'll ever get one? Would you sign up for it? Like, would you support a Flash game? All of those thoughts, let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know, again, as I said in the beginning of this video, what other superheroes you want me to cover. Like I said, I've gotten a request to do Hulk, so I'm going to do Hulk, but any Marvel, any DC, they could be villains, they could be superheroes, whatever you guys want me to do, I can make it a series. I'd love to do something like that. Again, I've already done a Green Arrow one. We'll be doing more as the weeks and months progress, okay? So let me know in the comments, which characters you want me to do. Make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed, have that bell icon turned on, all that good stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. I hope to see you all on the next video.